where we speak truth to power, unapologetically.
For too long, the black vote has been treated like a given, but we're not property. We're not pawns. We are the descendants of those who built this nation. And now, we're demanding tangibles, not tokenism, because the era of blind loyalty is over. This is the Black Independent. Let's get to work.
Everybody, sorry about that technical difficulty. We are back for episode 18 of the Black Independent. And Noni and I have been traveling. We just got back, so we're a little bit harried, but we've got a great episode for you tonight. So welcome back. Welcome back. So this is a space, by the way, everybody, where the center, where we center the community voices and dive into the issues that we hope matters to the voters. So today in episode 18, we're doing something special, or as we like to say, we're moving different. So you're going to notice that the things that we try to do or attempt to do is to get us all to thinking differently and moving differently. So we have two guests with us, people you've seen on the ballot before. Thomas Scott, Bishop Thomas Scott, one of the two candidates for the Tampa City Council District 5 runoff race. And we have Alison Hewitt, who also ran in the recent special election primary. So instead of being seen as rivals, they are here today as community partners, coming together to focus on the policies and the future of East Tampa, of Sulphur Springs, and all of District 5. So we also did extend an invitation to his opponent, first-time candidate, Naya Young, because we believe it's important that every voice in this runoff race is heard. While she has not joined us for this discussion, the door remains open, and we hope she will take the opportunity in the future. Our goal is to make sure voters have the chance to hear directly from those seeking to serve them on policies that matter to them. That kind of unity, in my opinion, y'all, matters, because when we can set aside competition and align around the real issues facing us, we show what's possible for Black communities in growing cities like Tampa everywhere, coming together around real solutions that matter to everybody. So let's bring our guests on stage. You got that, Mona?
Yep.
Sorry, we're our technical people as well. So I'm going to change the way this looks because it's diminishing the people, or the person in this case, that we really want to highlight. And right now, let's go with.
You can see my Buccaneer jersey.
Bucks.
I know, unfortunately, lost. You guys lost.
Tell me what happened to those Bucks. What happened to the Bucks?
Yes.
They
We
said it
played
was
the
a
Super
good
Bowl
game.
champions.
Yeah, we were coming to, I think we were just arriving in town when the Bucks had maybe one last chance to make something happen. We heard they did not. So I don't know. So welcome, candidate Scott, and welcome, Ms. Hewitt. Thank you both for joining us tonight. Ms. Hewitt today, folks, will be the moderator, guiding the conversation with Tampa City Council District 5 candidate Scott. Mona and I will step in as needed with any clarifications or questions that we're getting from the viewing audience, so that everything remains clear and useful for you, the voters, top of our on our list. Our goal today is not about personalities. It's about policies that should matter to you. Who has the strongest plan to resolve the long-standing challenges in East Tampa and Sulphur Springs? Take it away, Alison.
Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity. I just want to say thank you again, Bishop Scott. It's I like that we as candidates can still go back to what we were before the race as, colleagues in a fight to make sure that our community is represented and being community activists. So thank you very much. And also for during the race, you always kept it quality professional like the gentleman that you are. And I hope that from this, people can see you don't have to be enemies when you run. You just run and you put your platform out there, and it's up to the people to vote. And that's it's not you against me. It's our ideas and then what resonates. So thank you. And thank you, Mona and Jeanette. So we can also show people that Black people can stay together. And
Yes.
together as long as it's like what I said on mine was people over politics. I don't play politics, and Bishop Scott doesn't either. He fights for the people, and so thank you for coming on, even when you knew that I was going to be asking the questions. So with that, I'd like to start with a leadership and accountability question.
Let me just before we
Oh
start,
yes,
let me just say I want to take the opportunity to thank again Jeanette Bradley and Mona Judge for the opportunity to be able to come back second time and be able to talk and have dialogue and conversation. And thank Allison for an excellent campaign. And it's all about the individuals now. There are people that leave mad, angry, upset, and won't have anything else to do with you. So it's about
hmm
people and who they are and their character and their integrity and what they mean and what they represent. And so you have two people here now who basically recognize that we were both in a race trying to do what's best for the people of East Tampa and for District 5. So we have
yes,
to make sure it's not just East Tampa anymore, it's District 5,
correct.
and which also now is really huge, a lot of
Yes.
development and all that. So I just want to
Yes.
mention that and said thank you all very much for the opportunity. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for that. So that gets us to my first question. So, as you know, leadership requires both vision and accountability. How will you engage neighborhood associations, faith leaders, and especially small businesses in decision making? And what commitments will you make to report back regularly to the community? One of the things that I have seen being active as I do is that there are so many small businesses and people who do not know what city government does, do not know what they're responsible for. How will you engage to make sure that the neighborhood associations and the small businesses, especially, are know what's going on at City Hall and District 5, and how do you plan on talking to them?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And as I said, even during the campaign, that when I was on city council and the county commission before, I had community meetings. Not only did I have community meetings from my office at the time as a county commission city council, but also the county commission came into the community and had meetings. And so I want to make sure that city council, to my recollection, city council has not had any community meetings in such a long time. So one of the things I want to do is make sure that we bring City Hall to the community so that the people have an opportunity to meet their elected official. Secondly, not only meet the elected official, but also engage them in an opportunity to be able to ask questions. So that's one of the goals that we have. Now, you do know it takes 4 votes. That's my intent, but you have to have 4 votes. There have to be 4 people who vote and say, yes, let's go into District 5. Yes, let's go into District 4, whatever district we're going in, to have those conversations, that dialogue. So that's one of the things I think is very important, that we bring City Hall, City Council to the district, to the community. The second thing is I want to establish, been saying now, what I call a citizens academy, which will allow people in the community to go through anywhere between 10 and 12 weeks of engaging city government, meeting with all the various department directors, asking questions, learning how city government function, and asking questions in terms how to access city government. And so we're targeting it as a citizen academy. Again, that requires city council voting with me, at least 3 other persons to do that. The third thing I want to do is uh, look at the budget. Even though I know the budget is tight, look at the budget and going forward, because there'll be one other budget cycle that we will have before there's another election, and see what revenues that we can bring to District 5, and look at East Tampa. Allison, what you are very good on with the CRA, looking at that CRA also, and see how we can improve the voices of the citizens in East Tampa. Before I left, I put in place the Citizen Advisory Committee that had a strong voice and had input in how they wanted that community redevelopment area to look like. Okay, now subsequent that has changed. So that too is important to me in terms of us moving forward. And so the city council coming into District 5, coming into all the various districts, second, the Citizen Academy, and third, looking at how we can bring the revenues into District 5, and also through the CRA opportunity for, again, putting power back into the Citizens Advisory Committee.
One of those areas, and thank you so much for that, is there is over $1 million in the CRA budget currently for
Yep.
communications and outreach
Yep.
that they say they have under contract. So I would actively encourage you, if you were in that seat, to make sure that they actually implement those, to not just advertise what the CRA has done statewide, but that you potentially help direct that money actually in ways that is beneficial to get the communication out.
Right.
Because not all of our seniors have emails to be able to get emails or social media. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Seniors, a lot of our seniors, whether we know it or not, are not on Facebook. One of the things that we were able to run our campaign, Allison, you probably know this, when we looked at the numbers of 3,600 of the people were people who voted. It was 55 and older.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The younger people that voted was very minimal, very small. I think like 35. Somebody under 40 was like 35. I think 35 people voted, something along that. I looked at, but I remember very well looking at the numbers. And so we have to understand, if we're going, the people that really voted are seniors, we have to make sure that they are engaged. They're the ones that voted. We have to make sure that they are communicated with. We got to make sure they get the message to them. We got to know that they have the resources that they know about, educate them about the resources that are available to them. There are a lot of people who do not know the dollars and the funding that's available to seniors. I mean, just for knocking on the doors, and again, Allison, you know this, people don't know. And it really touched my heart on a lot of people's houses I knocked on that I said, now this house could qualify for rehab,
Yes. Yes.
and could get funding. And so we got to educate. You're right. We got to educate the people who are voting and those seniors who actually really vote, in case we don't know.
And so, okay, Janet, you had something?
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry I had to mute because Moses wanted to talk to Bishop Scott as well. I like the idea of Citizens Academy. Has that been done before? Is there a best practice out there, or have we done that before here? And if we have, what's the level of engagement or participation from the people?
Yeah, I don't know that it's ever been done here. I don't know what it's done anywhere else for that matter. I have to look at that, but that's why I'm introducing it for the city of Tampa as something new, so that the citizens can be engaged in that. Now, again, keep in mind, because the mayor is the executive, the executive officer, we have to have their input and their buy-in into it.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, I like the idea, and I would hope that the community can get behind you on that, so that when you are proposing something, it's very clear that you've got a large constituency that's backing you up. But that's a good idea.
It's important because, again, and Allison, you know this again, is that the African American community is not engaged in the civics or in the electoral process, and it's unfortunate, as many of you may know. I hate to say that, but it is very true, and we have to. When we look at there are 44,000 registered voters inside of District 5. I'm not talking about the city, I'm talking about inside of District 5. There are 44,000 registered voters, and you barely had 5,500 people voted in this special election, and which was a little bit higher than the general election that they just came out, in
Yes, with the mayor on the
2023.
race. Yes.
That's right, in the mayor's
Oh,
race.
yeah.
Let me ask.
So,
Let me ask Thomas Scott this. So, why do you think African American isn't involved? Do you think it is the responsibility of the elected officials to try to get their community more involved? I do like, and I was going to use this at the end, but when you said this, I do like what you said about Citizen Academy. I want to understand why, because we do have a few, and it's just the same few. But I think this Citizen Academy might be able to move the younger generation more, get them more involved, because we have to be able to be more involved. And like our CRA, for people who don't know, even as much as we did to get the word out for this last election, I ran across so many people who said, "Hey, I don't know. I didn't know election was coming." And
yeah,
I'm like, "Where are you? How don't you don't know? Do the churches?" And I'm not going to beat up on the church, but that is a big group where a lot of Black people are at.
right,
And I know they're telling their people, because heck, me and Allison went to the churches.
yeah,
So why
yeah,
aren't the people more involved?
yeah. Well, I think that's a very good question. I think the people who are involved again are those seniors. I think we have to get that generation beyond, below 50 engaged and involved in the process. Some of that is apathy. Some of that is apathy among that younger generation, I think. I think the other part of that is that our generation has not done a good job in passing the history on to where we are, how we got here, because if y'all think back, integration, a lot of people don't understand, don't know anything about segregation. A lot of that generation didn't come through that period in that era. I went through a segregated school for my first 7 years, okay? And then I went to an integrated setting, but even that was the early years. You're talking about now, back in the early 70s. And so I graduated in 72. So there's a lot of apathy. Two is that a lot of the younger generation, because they have enjoyed a lot of the privileges that they enjoy now, don't recall, don't remember the history of how we got to where we are. And I think that's a history that need to be shared. The old saying is, if you don't remember your history, you're bound to repeat it. Okay.
Absolutely.
And so we got to share that with that younger generation and try to engage them to be involved. I think one way of doing that is the Citizen Academy.
And I agree with that. The other thing I will add is what we're doing here is politics now that we see out in the world is a blood sport, and everyone
Yeah,
is trying to
yeah,
tear each other apart. That
right,
people have turned off
right.
that negative
That's true.
discourse, and they
Yep,
have stopped being able to debate issues without trying to tear each other down. We
right,
need
Yeah.
more things like this where we can debate issues, but do it
right,
respectfully and
right,
understand that not everybody sees the world at the same way, but that doesn't make me horrible or make you horrible. It just makes us have raised differently and living our life differently. And I think
right,
if we can have more conversations where they can see people of different political thought processes having respectful professional debates and still can be friends, I think that also might bring folks to more activity. Because right now, why would you want to be involved that everyone just tears each other apart without knowing you? And so if
right,
you step in, is somebody going to tear me apart because I don't share, exactly what your view is? So I just want to say thank you for that. And two, I think with the TPD having a TPD Citizens Academy and Hillsborough County Sheriffs having a Citizen Academy, you already have a template that should not be difficult for staff if they,
Okay.
if you are to get there, to be able to do that. They
Right.
both have defined, what do you call that? Uh, Plans and agendas.
I was
So,
gonna say blueprint.
um, yes.
Yeah, the blueprint. Well, I just got
So yeah,
something
yeah.
on I just got something on Facebook, and they say the mayor. So are you talking about similar to the mayor's university?
I don't know anything about it. I know the mayor has a youth corps. I know that. I know, and that's going back generation though. They're going
Yeah,
back way back. So
yeah, I'm
I'm not
sure
sure
you,
about the I'm not sure about the mayor. I don't know anything about that, but I
yeah, the
do know
youth
they have a
course
youth
is,
corps. Yeah,
yeah,
mayor's youth corps.
if you're going to do the Citizen Academy, I want it to have more teeth than the youth course. So
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the mayor university, so it's probably, you know,
They're Saturday sessions, and they get a certificate, and they go through the different mayor's departments.
okay.
All right,
Okay.
if we can move to the next question, that would be
The next question, I want to elaborate on what you said about the seniors. So the housing needs assessment, which they talked about on Thursday at the city council workshop, says that we're facing severe shortage of affordable units, especially for households under 50% AMI, average medium income, where the gap exceeds 26,000 units that we need. Thousands of subsidized units are also set to expire in the next year, so they no longer have to be affordable. What steps would you take to preserve existing affordability while creating new housing options, especially to meet the needs of seniors and families and low income residents in District 5?
Yeah. Repeat that question. That was a long question. That was a long question.
So so the housing assessment says that we're 26,000 units short
Yeah, I've been quoting
for
20,000, but
50.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the one that just came out on Thursday,
Okay.
for 50% AMI.
Right.
And what would you do? Oh, and we're also going to lose a few thousand in the next 5 years that roll off the tax credits log, so they no longer have to be affordable. And so, what would you do for to be able to address the needs of the seniors? And because there's lots of one bedrooms coming out, that means that families are in distress, and the low income residents.
Yeah. It is amazing that during the when all of us was campaigning, there's 14 of us was there. We talked more. We had people hear more about 3-bedroom housing. So I met last week with the Bay Area apartment management people, and they you may know who they are. They are large, huge, all the way down to Sarasota. And so I was discussing with them about 3 bedrooms and below, and they were saying, because people that came up with some people, and they were saying that they have found that there's more need for 1 and 2 bedrooms. Okay. And I was downtown in fact, in the Water Street. I don't know if you've been there or not, but downtown Water Street, in one of their units, who I'm very impressed with, but they're not affordable downtown, as you very well know.
Not Water Street.
Affordable. But I was talking with them about having affordable units for 50%. You know, what they're talking about, 50% and maybe a little higher. But I was discussing that, having a conversation with them about that. So that's one step we already began to engage and talk about. But also from a policy level, city council, we have to work with city council. And you were saying they had a workshop on Thursday. So then we have to help them understand the need and the continuation. And I've been quoting 20,000, but you said it's 26,000. I've been quoting
Yeah.
20,000 from what I've seen. All the evidence I've seen has been 20,000 units that needed. Now the mayor talked about, I was on that first housing task force that she appointed in the first term, and we recommended 10,000 units, and which was approved. And my understanding, they said they have 6,000 that have been done, which means 4,000 is remaining. Even with that, you still have 20,000 that's short. Affordable housing unit is not just a Tampa issue, though. We have to understand, it's just not a Tampa, it's a national crisis.
Yeah.
Okay, it is a national crisis when you talk about affordable units. And so we have to do all that we can. I have to do all that I can once I'm there is to work with city council and the administration to address the issue of affordability. Now, the property where we used to have the drive-in at, Alice, you familiar with that?
Mhm. Yeah.
They are already sold out.
Mhm.
And now here's the issue is that they're only a small percentage of those are affordable. Okay. They got a $12 million
12 million.
million loan from the city with no interest. Okay, with no interest.
Wow.
And so we have to look at making sure that we have more affordable housing. When the city does that, then we have to raise the question. We have to ask the question because the administration does all the negotiating, but the contract comes to city council for approval. And then we have to insist or ask that there be more affordable units included in that. When you will get an interest-free loan at $12 million, says a lot. So I think one of the things we have to do, Allison, is number one, educate all of city council about affordable housing. Two, any money that we are allowing to be used for building, for apartments, for housing, we need to make sure that those that we have a greater number of affordable units, 50% of
Mhm.
AMI. Now Channel Side got to be a 15,000 new units, where they're starting at 80% AMI, going up to 140% of AMI. Uh, I'm not sure how many they're talking all together, but they're starting at 80%. But 80% still would be high on Channel Side.
Yes. Yes, it definitely would be. But at least something right there down there is better than nothing. So
Yeah,
with this, I think it's a good start, but we can still do better.
right.
So so I will jump piggyback on the housing needs assessment. They also really found that Tampa must rely heavily on redevelopable land because vacant land is limited. I think you know
Right,
that there's not a lot of
right.
empty land
That's
left
right. That's right.
in the city either way. But
Right.
zoning rules currently constrain up to 66,000 potential housing units. So, what zoning or land use reforms would you champion to unlock this capacity while ensuring new growth benefits District 5 residents? So, because I think you've
What-
seen the new maps. Which one on the new comprehensive plan and future land use, what would you support to make sure?
Yeah, we have to make sure. Well, the comprehensive plan has not been approved yet. I think it's not going to be approved until November. Okay,
Yes,
not November, February next year. I think it's February
yes.
next year that's going to be going back to the board. I think that again, the comprehensive plan speaks to the demographic, not demographic, but the how many units and how many
Hmm.
people you want, all that in the area. So we have to look at that and determine which plan is going to be best for District 5. Okay. Uh, I have not really seen all of the plans. I'm aware of the plan, and that has been postponed until February. Uh, the Fran Tate and the Jackson Height want a supermarket, a grocery store in East Tampa. Now, um, when you look at that, based on the numbers, it don't qualify.
Mm-mm.
So if you want to qualify, that means you got to have more people in East Tampa in order to make it
Yeah, you need
realistic.
to exactly. It does not qualify for any because of the heads and beds density as
The
well
density,
as the
right,
AMI. Because right
right,
now the AMI in East Tampa is $25,000. That's from the EDC. So
yeah,
we do not have
yeah,
the density, correct? And
right,
although you want that, unless we create some density, you are absolutely correct.
right. So,
Let
so,
me jump in there.
okay.
Okay. So when did we stop having whatever we needed? Because I grew up in East Tampa. I was born here. We've always had a Winn-Dixie on Hillsborough. Um,
Mhm.
and I want politicians to be able to be creative. And I don't understand. that we don't have the density in East Tampa to have a freaking grocery store. So I want you to do some. I've heard in different areas where the city, it's a city-owned grocery store. Have you guys heard of anything like that?
I've heard of a city run where it's I forgot the name. They're not actually grocery stores. They're more so different people coming together, like a market,
Like a co-op of some
a
sort.
co-op. That's the word. I
Co-op
apologize. A
market, yeah.
co-op. Yes, but I haven't heard of any city-owned grocery stores.
I don't know. I
Also,
want a decent grocery store. How are we going to even get people over here if we can't have a decent grocery store? Most people in East Tampa have to drive almost 20 minutes to go to a grocery store?
Right.
yes.
So to get to sort of tap on your question, but with a question to Pastor Scott, the issue seems to be one of density.
Yep.
And if the numbers don't make sense for a Publix or Trader Joe's or whatever, it just doesn't make sense. In fact, I know of one I think Kenny Russian opened a grocery store on 15th, and that grocery store is no more. So density, we have to be I don't want to say smart enough, but we have to understand what we're up against. And to the question for you, Pastor Scott, is like I'm going to call them the Funland housing that just got put up, and you said that it was almost full or did I?
Oh
It is
yeah,
full. It is
it's
full.
full.
Okay.
It's full.
So going up is going to help some density here in terms of, to your point of creativity. I see you shaking your head, but I'm asking
What did we
Pastor
do in the
Scott. I'm
70s?
asking
We
Scott.
moved in
Well,
Northview Hills in the 70s, and when Dixie was there, and it
yeah.
was the same amount of houses. And actually, there's more houses now. So what happened?
Okay,
Yeah,
Pastor
yeah.
Scott. Oh,
When I listen, that was when Dixie was there. Well, actually, before when Dixie there was Cash and Carry. Wasn't
Yes,
a Cash and Carry before that? Cash
yes.
and Carry, then Winn Dixie, and then you had up on 40th and Hillsboro. That was not a large store, but that was I can't think of
That
the
was
name
the
of it right.
Winn Dixie. That was Winn
No,
Dixie because my brother worked there, and that's where we
okay,
did all our
and
shopping.
so what they're supermarkets, grocery store going to do their own study. Okay, that's number one. You need to know that they're going to do their own study, and if the study does not make sense to them from a financial standpoint, they're not going to come. Now you do have a Winn Dixie down on
Hillsboro
MLK and no, that's
and Nebraska.
and
Excuse me.
Nebraska, MLK and Nebraska. You do have a Winn Dixie there,
Mhm.
but but what I've been looking into is, and I've been told that the density is not in East Tampa to really get a grocery store to come in and consider, because you just had the Winn Dixie up there in the plaza, right there on 22nd and Hillsborough. You just lost that Winn Dixie about 2 years ago. That was a Winn
Yeah,
Yep.
Dixie. And then
yeah,
another store came in and they didn't survive, you know.
Yep.
So density, so they're gonna do their own study. And you gotta, number one, you gotta have the density. The second thing that Allison pointed out is the AMI, the income level of people are gonna be very important as well. And
Yep.
I will tell you, Mona, that we've lost a lot of people through redevelopment in East Tampa. You got to remember now, Belma Height, all those people that used to live over in Belma Height, a lot of those people moved out. Now, and a lot of people have come in. But across the street from there, I always advocated a grocery store across the street, but they
yes,
didn't own the property. Now, see, to me, when Jerome Ryan and Ben Daniel, that was an ideal place across the street on 22nd to build a
yes.
grocery store, because
Mhm.
you had the new units coming in, you had the people there, and that didn't happen. I think they couldn't buy the property, couldn't get the property, or whatever. But that to me would have been an ideal place as well, right there on 22nd. You all know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But the grocery store would do their own study. When Dixie would do their own study, Public would do their own study, and see if the density is there, and see, does it make sense to put a grocery store there. But that is something that I've been asked to look at, and I've already started really exploring it, looking at that, and talking to people about it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for that. So then I will keep it a little bit on the housing and equitable development and ask you if you have any specific policies or partnerships that you would champion to balance that new development with affordability and working with families and seniors. Are there any partnerships that you would champion or promote to make sure? Because one of the things that came out of the housing assessments is it's got to be public-private partnerships. The report says that the city would have to spend over $240 million to address affordable housing. So what public-private partnerships do you see and would you promote to make sure you address the affordable housing issue from that study?
Yeah, I think we have to, and I think most of us know going forward, public-private partnership is the way to go in today's time. And so you have to look at all these developers that are coming in. You have to meet with them. And another thing I look at is if the raise going to come, then you need. This is where you begin to leverage the opportunity to get what you want. Okay, see, that's going to be some negotiation done.
Mhm.
So the question becomes whoever's on that board at point, because the contract have to come to city council, is how do you negotiate to get what you need for your community, for your district, okay, whoever it might be, whether it be the raise, whether it be the new development that's taking, you got the wrong street yard, okay. I think Allison is having some difficulties, it look
Yeah,
like.
I'm watching it.
Yeah, you got the wrong street yard project, okay, that's
Yeah,
already been approved.
yeah.
Now they're in good shape because they got to win Dixie over there, by the way. But again,
Hmm.
all the development that's coming in towards East Tampa, we have to look at it and see how do we leverage that. And by the way, my understanding is a raise statement. There's 3 sites that they're looking at, and they're all in District 5. Now, they're not in East Tampa, but they're in District 5. Okay,
Yeah,
so you have
yeah.
to look at how do you leverage that to get what you want for your constituent, for your community. And so that's what I'm gonna be looking at. How do we uh, use that as a leverage in discussing to improve District 5 and East Tampa? Now, keep in
Hmm.
mind, District 5 includes downtown. Downtown is doing extremely well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay,
Yes, they are.
in fact, which was interesting to me, Allison, that they reauthorized the CRA for downtown and did not do East Tampa. I just don't understand that. They did
Exactly.
downtown. They did Ebor. Was it Ebor? No, Tampa Heights, right? Tampa Heights, I think. Well, Tampa Heights, and of course West Tampa is through 2043. But they could have easily included East Tampa in that to extend it out to 2043, but it was not extended.
And why not?
Exactly.
Why not? When we have 3 at large, we have to ask the 3 at large city council people why they didn't do that. Because here's where we're getting a better understanding of how all this worked. Um, Pastor Scott, I don't know why I can't say Tom Scott, Pastor Scott.
I know I
It's
keep
all
saying
right. It's all
Pastor
right.
Scott.
It's
It's
all
like,
right. It's all right.
I
It's a
call
habit. It's a habit.
yes, candidate Scott. That's what I say. Um,
mhm.
and and we and I'm trying to not believe that these people are not working, not willingly working against us, but we could certainly see where they're not working in our best interest.
Well, here again,
We don't have to
understanding.
answer. You don't have to answer that. That was just a comment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Allison,
Yeah,
you
but
Well,
okay.
well,
But we have to understand the process, though. Again, we don't understand. We will hold our one District 5
yes.
person,
We're not doing
hostage
that
or
moving forward.
accountable, whatever you want to call, but we let the other 3 get off. You
Yes,
vote for 3. There are 4 people you vote for city council. There
absolutely.
are 4 people you vote for county
Four.
commission.
Yes,
4.
for
And so we
Four.
need to understand that when we lobby and we will hold them account, you just can't hold the one, but there are
right.
3 other ones that you vote for, and you
Mhm.
determine, whether they be elected or not. And that's what we got to understand. It's not just the one;
yeah.
it's a total 4.
And
So
I
when you
think
say,
and I definitely are now realizing that. That's why I say you didn't. We'll have to deal with them
yeah,
because they represent us as well,
That's
and
okay.
they have
So,
exactly
a
right.
part. They have
so
a
I,
part
I,
That's
I
right.
hear,
in
I
the
hear
fight.
2 words that, I'm just really trying my best to keep Allison on stage.
Yes, because we got about 10 more minutes with
just-
him, and I want him to answer 2 questions from the audience.
I think I got her on here twice
I wanna-
now.
I want to keep her.
I know, but I need to. There she is. I just need to, two words that I need clarification on. When you say we've got to leverage, who's we? And when you say leverage, how are we getting that leverage that we, whoever that is, can come together and make something happen? What do you need in the we so that you can have that leverage, whatever that means to you?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that contracts, all contracts that the city are a part of, have to come to city council. Okay, and city council votes on no contract. Now, they can look at the contract. Usually, let me explain it. When I was on city council and county commission, when people came and wanted my approval, I always raised the question: how does minorities benefit from your contract?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Now, I can't speak for nobody. I always raise that question. If you're coming in, you're going to develop property in East Tampa, you're going to develop property in Jackson Heights, you're going to develop property in the city of Tampa. I want to know what percentage of that minorities is going to be at the table in terms of benefiting. Our community, our city will never do well until we learn to include every person in our community, no matter who they are. We
Yes.
have to look at how do we improve the quality of life for every citizen in Tampa. And so we just can't talk about, South Tampa, how well they're doing, and those, and even in Tampa Heights, now, 'cause Tampa Heights is doing extremely well. You can't hardly get a house in Tampa Heights for under
Right.
$800,000.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So why not? Why is East Tampa is only at 25,000 AMI? Okay, so we have to raise that question. How do minorities benefit? How do my community benefit from this contract? What percentage of this, which now they have now suspended, the WMEB program, okay, Women Minority Enterprise Program, which now they fall back on what you call the small business ordinance, which, by the way, I championed and passed when I was on city council before, okay, with a trigger in there to trigger the WMBE. But now, because they got a letter from the federal government say you can no longer have these set-aside programs, which, by the way, is still legal from the Supreme Court.
Uh-huh.
But you still have to raise that question: how do we benefit? How do my community benefit? And so then, what I mean by leverage is I need 3 other votes to help me to say, okay, this contract need to go back, and it needs to include some type of goal or include something there that we make sure that everybody is benefiting from whoever's coming, whether it be developers, whether it be the Rays, whether it be the Buccaneers, whoever it might be that's coming, and they want to do business with the city of Tampa.
So how do you get those 3 other votes? How do you get those 3 other
Well,
votes?
that's the argument we have at the dais. That's the argument we would have and say, okay, and see, then at that point, that's where the community have to come in large numbers and say, we support, if I'm there, we support Councilman Scott's request or on his decision on not to support. Now again,
But
I'm
most
only
of us,
one vote. I'm
but
only one vote.
you're
And so
you're one vote. But when you said community have to come together, you don't mean come together at Tampa City Council.
That's exactly
You
what it is.
mean
That's we have to go
mean
down there and convince the other 3 at large to
I
community-
got that, but lots of your constituents have 9 to 5s and they cannot do that. How do I, if I have a 9 to 5, show that support for you so that you have leverage, and your leverage could be
email,
the people behind you.
call. They have an office. They have at least 1 aide. If you had county commission, they have 2 aides. If city council, you have 1 aide that's there to answer that phone, take your call, take your message, email,
Yeah.
text, call, all
Yeah.
those. And you don't just call the 4, but you ought to call all of them.
All right. I'm ready to move on, but I want you to think Malcolm X in that scene going to the hospital. And
Yeah,
all you have to do is say, look out the window. I need you
yeah.
to, I need us to move different. That's all. Can we go to the
Yes.
next question? Because we are
Uh,
going to honor your time.
let's,
Yeah.
Allison, let's let this be the last, and then I'm going to ask him one from the audience that I think is really a good question.
Okay.
Okay, this one is about public safety and community policing. What is your plan to improve the public safety in District 5 by expanding community policing and building trust between the residents and law enforcement?
Yeah, that is a question I answered during the first primary we was in, first special primary, and that was that we have to improve community policing, but also we have to find a way how to make sure that police is a part of the community and engage them and perhaps getting out their cars like they used to and walking and so forth. Now, let me just say this again. I want to stress this. You have a mayor or a mayor who's the city of Tampa, who's the chief executive, that you have to have them to work with city council. And my experience in this city council, there's been a lot of tension there. And I don't know, Allison, you aware of that or not? You may be aware by going to me, but there's been a lot of tension there. And one something I would like to see if we can find a way how to bridge that, because the city does not win when we are on opposite sides. We should be
Mm-hmm.
on the same side, trying to make this community better for everybody. And so I think it's important that we have one, the community policing, and we have to find a way how to enhance it. And we got to make sure the demographics, because I'm not sure about the demographic. The police department has changed significantly, y'all. I'm not sure about the demographics in the police department at this point in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the high tier, and that sort of thing. I'm not sure that we have a person of color that's now is a deputy chief, because it has changed significantly
Mm-hmm.
over the past several years. And so we have to look at that. I think all that's important. The structure of the police department, who's in there and who's working with the mayor and with the chief of police, and how are they involved in the community. So I would respond by saying my goal would be to try to get them to really get out their cars, get to know people, get to know the community better, and just community policement has proven to be one of the most effective tools in working with the police force in this community. Now, keep in mind, please understand, I don't care who you are, you can get pulled. Listen, you can get pulled over at any point, especially if you are, as they would say, driving while black. Now, I got pulled over just this last week, and I was in my Tesla, and they said, "Are you Thomas Scott?" Which means they ran my tag.
Hmm.
Okay. First of all, I want to know why you ran my tag. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't on the cell phone.
That's a good
I wasn't
question.
robbing nobody. See,
Yep.
those kind of things to me, we have to understand are very important. Okay, why did you run my tag?
Right.
And wasting
Yeah.
my time by pulling me over, harassing me. That's harassment to me. What did
Yeah,
they want?
yeah. Well, they
Yeah.
told me,
Well,
believe it or not, at this point they said that my license was suspended,
Well, they
and I
still
didn't
had to
even.
run their tag to find that out.
But that's what I'm saying. And I didn't even, and I wasn't even aware that, didn't even know that. But they did tell me that. But I was able to get that corrected. Not a fault of my own. That was Tallahassee's fault. But be as it may, we
Yeah.
got it corrected. But at the same time, you would have not known that had you not been running my tag.
So let me ask you
exactly.
this, because I have a problem with that. Where were you in the city? What district?
Actually, it was actually on Falkenberg Road. It was actually was it wasn't the city. It was the Falkenberg and 60, Falkenberg and 60.
Because
Yeah,
I say, like on Busby Downs, if these cops would sit out here and run people tags, out of 10, you're gonna find 2 that something is wrong. But they
yeah,
don't do that here, because I don't even see hardly a sheriff. Well, we're in the county, but I don't hardly ever see a sheriff car, a police
yeah,
car. But time I get off the interstate on Hillsborough, I see nothing but cop cars everywhere, all over the city.
yeah, yeah.
It's aggravating. All right, you guys are good with that, Allison?
Yes. Again, thank you for allowing me to share some of the things I've heard in these questions with you. And thank you for your active participation with your answers. I really
Well,
appreciate it.
thank you. And I think also it's an opportunity, hopefully, should I win, opportunity to sit down with other candidates and talk with them
Sure.
as
That's
well and talk
great.
about some of their ideas that they had and so forth. We move forward. I mean, I thought a lot of the forums were very good, very, very good. And most people, Allison, thought that you and I was going to be in the runoff because we knew most all the all the answers. So, so
Yes.
that comes from experience and being
Mhm.
in the political arena. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Pastor
And
Scott,
as
I'm going
long
to
as
ask you two questions
Mona,
from the
did you
audience.
ask the, yeah, I was going to say, did you ask that question from the audience?
So, the first question would be, where would a baseball stadium go, and what property is large enough, and who would get this place?
Yeah, there are three and I'm not at liberty at this point to disclose that. But there are three sites that they're looking at, and they're all in District 5. I can only just say that.
How
Uh,
can you
uh,
assure that our people don't get displaced?
um, well, that's not the case there. It won't be in East Tampa. I can tell you that.
Okay.
But but yeah. But they're looking at it's in District 5. It's three sites that they're looking at in District 5.
So you can tell us that because you will have some 12,000 voters behind you, giving you that leverage, which
Yeah.
should also influence the citywide seats because they
Yeah.
know that we are behind what you are saying. And
Right.
if they don't vote with you, so I think when I say leverage, to me, that's where your leverage comes from. It comes from us, but we've got to get out there and make sure you have 12 or 15,000 votes behind you, no matter what. All right. I just
Because
needed
it's
to
going to
say
be
that.
very
Yeah.
interesting. He's going to be on the council for about 14 months.
Yep.
Everybody is up for reelection,
Yep.
and depending on
Yep.
how they move, that gives
Ooh,
us an indication of how we move.
yeah.
Right.
All right. So the next question is: we do have a
But
lot of young people
can,
who are now interested in politics. How can you start grooming these young candidates that want to get in? I do want to see new, younger people, but I also need experience.
yeah. When I was on the county commission, I met every month with a group of people who was interested in becoming, believe it or not, Harold Lord was a part of that. Um, Edna Rain was a part of that.
Okay.
She ran against Les Miller. Then when they first ran, Valerie Gardner was a part of it. I had about 8 people that came once a month. We would meet at different restaurants, and I walked them through different things regarding running for public office, and brought in people like Ken Hagan and other elected officials from different areas of county government, and they would talk and share, and they would ask questions. That's something that I like to return back to. I think
Okay.
that we need to have a bench, getting younger people prepared and ready for elected office, and we need that. We really need that bench to really
Agree.
to really get our young people. And I don't like to say young people. I like to say young adults or something like along that. Persons
Mhm.
who are younger, who are ready to take on public office. Now, let me just say this. One of the things I and Allison know this now, and probably known it in the past from being with in the governor's administration. If you can't take the heat, you can't get in the kitchen
Right.
because there's going to be a lot of stuff thrown at you that's not true. People put stuff on social media, especially that social media stuff is dangerous, y'all.
Yes.
Is that a lot of disinformation is out there, a lot of stuff that's not true. People say all kind of stuff that's not true.
Mhm.
And it's very, very, and you can't take that. You got to be able to let that roll off of you and keep on going and run your race. You got to stay focused on your race and not focus on the other folk race and what they're doing, because you're gonna have all kind of people trying to distract you, and your goal should always be, I got to run my race and I got to do the best I can with what I have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all again. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you,
Jeanette,
ladies.
Okay.
have a great night.
Give me 1 second. So that was a lot of ground we covered, and I think it's exactly the kind of conversation that our community needs. So we want to thank you again, and I'm going to thank you. I hear all the thank yous flying around, Pastor Scott, for sharing
Yeah.
your vision and your policies for District 5. So for everybody out there that's listening, do not forget to cast your vote in this upcoming election. If you're voting by mail, Mona told me that she got her ballot in the mail already. You should have it by now. So vote now and send it. Don't wait. Trust the mail. Don't wait. Early voting starts October, is it 23 through 26? And election day is on October 29th. So
28, I think.
uh 28, yeah, 28th, I'm sorry, the
Mhm.
28th. So this is how we move forward, not divided, folks, but together, focused on the issues that impact our neighborhoods. We need to be talking about those things every single day. So for our listeners, um, just remember, it's more than about the names on the ballot. They're deciding who's got what it takes to actually deliver the change our community actually deserves. So take what you heard today, weigh it carefully, and vote, vote, vote on the issues. That's really important.
Yeah, I look, this last 14 months, we need someone, as I've always said, day one ready. Day one ready. It is a lot on the line now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have to make sure someone's there to represent the best interest of District 5 and who could align the other three or get the other votes. Doesn't necessarily always have to come from the other three at large. Someone with experience and someone who knows the issues and knows the policy. So, in my
Well,
opinion, I'm going to get behind. And I really just made that decision today because I kept saying I was going to wait. But
I'm gonna ask you to wait, wait, wait.
yeah,
Yes.
okay,
So, and the reason that I'm going to ask you to do that, and I appreciate your pausing to let me say that,
yes.
because I want to kind of pause here to extend the invitation once again to candidate Naya Young. I think she needs to be heard as well because it's important that every voter in District
Wait.
5.
Didn't we extend that invitation to her as well?
We did. So that's what
Okay.
I meant. Once again, once
Oh,
again.
okay.
Um,
I didn't get that. I know
all right.
this was your show, but I want to make sure that we did extend the
We did. We
invitation to
did.
vote.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did. I sent both of them the same message, one right behind the other. So I want to make sure she has the opportunity, or the voters have the opportunity to hear directly from both of the candidates and understand where they stand on the issues. And right now, because it's so close to the election and we're down to two, we really want to understand how they stand on the various policies, issues that we're facing right now. So our community deserves full transparency and an informed choice. And I'll add on to that, and I hear you on experience. I appreciate experience as well, but sometimes some of the young people get in there. There's examples across the nation of getting in there and making things happen. So I want to say that. And I'll reserve in terms of who I may or may not be supporting at this moment. So again, folks, audience, I just want to thank candidate Thomas Scott. I kind of dragged him on. He did have some concerns at this point, especially when I said Naya could not also be here. So he understands what is at stake. And I just want to thank Alison Hewitt. There were concerns around Alison participating, but when we as Black independents say we want to move differently or move different, as I hear Mona saying more and more, That's what we mean. We want to move different, and we don't want to follow some pattern that's expected. We believe as independents, whether you're Democrat or Republican, we want to hear your platform, and we want us to be able to discern what is going to work for us and what is not. So to our audience, I want to thank you for listening. Until the next time, let's keep moving different forward. Unless you have anything else to say, I think we're done.
No, I think you've said it all. I just want to thank candidate Thomas Scott for agreeing, because it did give the people a little bit more, because I was concerned when people kept saying they didn't know or they hadn't heard his platform. I was hearing that a lot, even though I know that it was a lot of debates out there.
Mhm.
And if the people can't get to the debates, and the debates aren't sometime videoed, live screen, so the people maybe not. So we're
Yeah.
giving them an opportunity to hear the candidates. And yeah, like you said, if candidate Young, I see a few people say they would like to hear from her.
Mhm. Good.
But we only got about a week, or maybe about a week or two before we have to move on.
Yep.
So
So look for some shorts over the next couple days. I'm going to kind of review the footage we have tonight, and then I'll put it in little small bites, and then I'll let you know what the issue is within that small bite, maybe a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes at the most, that you can hear on the various issues. And again, we will be extending that invitation out to Miss Nia Young again. We'd love to have her. So, ciao, everybody. Until next
one more
time.
thing before we go. One more thing, it just came to my mouth. As we always said from the beginning, we have to vote smart, not by symbolism
And emotion.
and emotions.
Yep.
We got to be smart, matured voters now.
Okay. And like us on Facebook. We are Black Independents, and also subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to be around for a while. There's two major elections coming up in 2026 and 2028. Hopefully by then we've honed our skills well enough where we can bring you candidates and talk about the issues that are important to you. So ciao, everybody. I'm going to end this stream like right now. All right.
Good night.
Good night.